everybody. Happy New Year. It's another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is JD. Who's here with me?
It's Michelle.
It's Michelle for another New Year. I guess technically this is already our second episode of the year, so I don't know why I'm acting like it's the first one.
But it's not our second time recording this year.
You're very
We
correct.
recorded
This
that in
is the
December.
first time. This is the first
Wow.
time we've sat down and recorded an episode.
Wow.
It would have been weird if we had recorded that episode in January somehow and then dropped it as soon as January began.
That's not how time would work.
No, that's if this is the first time you're tuning in, well, welcome to the Freak Show. This is what we do. We say weird things, and there's a select few of the folks out there who understand our weirdness and have stuck with us, and for the rest of you, welcome to the deep end. Good luck. Michelle, what's this show all about?
We watch Shudder, but sometimes we don't watch Shudder. Sometimes we watch things off of Shudder. And this
Right.
one was on Shudder and is no longer on Shudder. So this one's
As of like
kind
a
of
day
both.
or two ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping to get one last viewing of this in before we recorded, and then I ran out of time, and I was like, well, maybe I can at least watch it one more time after we do the episode, and no such luck. Well, I mean, it's available other places. It's just not available on Shudder anymore. What are we talking about, Michelle?
We're talking about Anna and the Apocalypse, a zombie Christmas musical.
Yes, a zombie Christmas musical, Anna and the Apocalypse. You heard that right. This is one that we were thinking about doing when we originally had our plan to do a 12 Horrors of Christmas series that unfortunately we had to put a pin in until maybe next year. But it's one that I had never seen. I don't know how I've never seen it. Because it is both a musical and it's about zombies. The Christmas element, I could take it or leave it. It's whatever. But Michelle has ranted and raved about this movie to me on a number of occasions. And I finally got around to watching it, and I said, oh, Michelle, especially considering how much I know that you love this movie, we definitely need to talk about this one, so let's make it our first episode of the new year, or our second episode, because there's no new release this week, and so here we are.
That is the entire story of how we wound up here.
I don't know why I'm so formal all of a sudden. I feel like new year, we should start getting all... No, fuck it, we don't need to be professional.
Oh, I didn't think you were formal. I just think you're doing that thing that we both do where we very much heavily self-analyze, and then we're wrong about our self-analysis of like, everyone's going to hate what I just said. They're going to hate the way I say it. They're going to hate me. That's my favorite part of recording, is having a panic attack afterwards.
Your favorite part of recording is thinking about how much people are going to hate you?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I like to just try to predict it, and I'm usually right. So
I think that's fair.
Well, we should probably get into the episode.
Yeah, here we are. This is the very brief therapy portion of the episode.
Yep, just a little therapy.
Anna and the Apocalypse is the film. Zombie Christmas musical, I think, is a perfect summary, but we always like to look at a plot summary here. We normally would look and see what the summary is on Shudder, but it's not on Shudder anymore. Michelle, were you able to find a good summary to give these people? It's all spoiler-free.
You know, I did look it up on IMDb. I checked a couple of them, but screw it. No, this is a zombie Christmas musical. That is either going to appeal to you or it's not. That's just how it is. Nothing will sway you.
Yeah, that's really all you need to know. Zombie Christmas musical, centered around some teenagers who are about to graduate high school.
One of them is named Anna.
Yeah, one of them is named Anna, and there's a zombie. There's zombies, probably in the form of an apocalypse, on account of how the title is Anna.
Everything you
and
need
the
to know
apocalypse. Why is Michelle?
Right
here's
there
my
on the
question.
poster.
Before we even get into this movie discussion, why is it always a zombie apocalypse? Why isn't it like why isn't it ever just like, I don't know, like a zombie mishap? You know,
like there's a couple zombies.
Why is the scale always apocalyptic? Why can't it just be like
I mean, Fido was an apocalyptic level.
It was
they
a zombie
contained
bad
that.
Day.
Yeah, Fido was just a bad day, and now they have friends out of it.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I love Fido. Have you seen Fido?
I have not, no.
Oh, okay. You need to see Fido. I'm a huge zombie fan, and Fido is really high up there on my list of favorite zombie movies.
Right, well, on that note,
they put collars on them so that the zombies are then docile, and now you just have a little servant.
So they turn zombies into slaves.
Yep.
That seems...
It's a whole ethical dilemma. It is an ethical dilemma in the movie. Your brain is going to the correct place. Because what happens when you befriend Fido?
I don't know. You know who has similar small elements in their film that actually is relevant to today's film? Is Shaun of the Dead.
True.
Shaun of the Dead says some things about zombies and possibly using them as labor force, maybe just a little bit. Shaun of the Dead, well, we'll talk about it in depth when we get into the spoilery portion of this. But that's another, I think, good way to describe it is, as Michelle said, it's a zombie Christmas musical. My immediate thought on it was like, basically, like if I was describing it to people, I would call it a cross between Shaun of the Dead and High School Musical.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That is a very good description.
It does have strong comedic elements. It's important to know that, but it does have some very dramatic moments as well. Michelle, you want to give us your spoiler-free thoughts on Anna and the Apocalypse?
Yes, absolutely. I have seen this movie several times now, which means that I'm able to be a little bit more critical about it than the first time I saw it and was just blown away by zombie Christmas musical. Those are 3 genres of films that I enjoy, and this was a mixture of all of them. Some of the characters' choices are questionable at best. Some of the story is a little bit strange, we'll say, without getting into spoilers. But man, I love that soundtrack. I just love the energy. I really enjoy all the cast. And the heart wants what the heart wants. 5 skulls.
5 skulls. Anna and the Apocalypse from Michelle. I knew that. I knew that rating was coming. Obviously, Michelle on previous episodes has talked about how much she loves this film, and that's obviously the main reason why we decided to check it out. Are you interested, Michelle, in my spoiler-free thoughts on Anna and the Apocalypse?
I am, and I was absolutely convinced that I knew how you felt about this, but now, since like 10 minutes ago, just a little bit before starting this episode, I now think the opposite, so let's find out. How do you feel about it?
Well, I gotta know, like, what did you originally think, and then what is the now opposite thought?
I thought you hated it, and that at a certain point you liked it in the beginning, and then it completely turned around and you're like, no, we have to do an episode because I hate this so much. But then you told me you had your mom watch it, and now I think you like it. Because why else would you subject your mother, who you love dearly, to this movie if you didn't enjoy it?
Because I wanted to watch it on the big TV again.
Well, that's fair.
No.
Oh, but why would you want to watch it on the big TV if you dislike it, huh? I think I'm figuring out.
Because I wanted to make sure. Look, okay, so here's my take on Anna and the Apocalypse. The actual spoiler-free thoughts are kind of right in the middle of what you were thinking. Overall, I really like this movie. It's an impressive musical. First, just as a musical fan, I do think the first half of the film, I feel like the music is stronger. Like basically, as the show goes on, I feel like the music loses. My favorite stuff is right up front. The very first song. The very first song in this is my favorite song in the whole thing. So as a musical, really solid and impressively produced for you know, I wouldn't call it an independent production, but it's certainly not a huge budget studio production. And the choreography is great. The camera, like, they clearly spent a lot of time rehearsing and plotting and storyboarding this. It's a great
changing
production.
People into zombies so that they could record. Yeah.
My only issue with this is the movie, I think, in an effort to try and be a little bit more dramatic, goes too far. This movie does some things that, for me, for this movie and this story, it gets a little too bleak overall. And I'll talk about in detail what I mean about that.
Argue.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I know that you have talked about how one of your favorite things about it is that it also doesn't shy away from the heavier dramatic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind that that's here. I think some of it, I think it just did too much. It went too far, and we'll talk about the details here in just a moment. Overall, I am giving this a 4 skull rating because, again, like, I can't even fault the movie, right? The only reason this isn't a 5 skull experience for me is because of those issues with the story. It's because my palate and this movie just didn't link up right at the end. It's not the movie's fault. It's nobody's fault. It just is what it is.
That's why I give it a 5. So only one of us can give it a 5, apparently, because I love that it's depressing.
Right. Well, and again, my ratings are always just based on kind of my experience with the film. Mm-hmm. That's why The Puppet Man got 5 skulls on the initial review. The first time I watched that movie, I fucking loved it. It's still good. Just it's not one of those repeat bangers, I think. But anyway,
definitely.
Anna, I'm gonna relitigate my 5 skull rating of The Puppet Man in my own head for the rest of the time this podcast exists.
And every time I will sigh deeply and make no further comments.
because you have never made me feel more self-conscious about a 5 skull rating than the one I gave The Puppet Man, Michelle.
Well, that's just because I hated it so much. But that's kind of like how our episode, which was the first one where we argued, and I could not properly state my argument because I was so flustered by trying to properly debate for the first time. And I know you're an excellent, articulate debater. And I was like, oh my God, I was shaking, I was sweaty. But that was watcher of.
You might even say I'm a master debater.
That is an old stand-up joke that I used to do. And you know what? People would go, ha ha, and that's it. It was very short-lived. It was very like,
It was good times. Good times.
Yeah, good times.
All right, guys, I strongly recommend it. Yeah, if you are a fan of musicals, even if you like musicals but you're not too big on horror, I mean, I'm not going to lie, there's some gore in this, there's some blood, there's some violence, but if you're a fan of... Yeah, look, what's the one I'm trying to think of? Sweeney Todd. That's got some violence and stuff. This is probably a couple steps beyond Sweeney Todd, but anyway, strongly recommend you check this one out before we spoil everything for you. Otherwise, hit the pause button and go watch it. And now we're going to talk about spoilers. Now, Michelle, since we didn't have a good brief summary from any of our sources, do you want to now do the patent-pending, world-famous plot recap?
Yes, I absolutely will. And
beautiful.
Again, I knew I was going to do this, or like subconsciously I knew I was going to do this. I've seen this movie so many times, and every time you ask me to do a plot summary, I immediately blank. So it's like whatever force inside of me does these plot summaries, she's going to attempt to remember literally anything about this movie. Okay. There's a lady. Her name's Anna, and there's an apocalypse, but she doesn't know it yet because we're at the beginning of the movie, and Anna is going to high school with her best friend, John, and John is in love with her, and there's some teenage angst. They're preparing for a Christmas showcase, all that fun high school stuff that you love. And then Anna wakes up the next day and she's dancing, and it's very Shaun of the Dead where there's people dying all around her, but she's got headphones on. And then her and John, they're just doing a nice little magical number to prepare for their school day. And then a zombie in a snowman costume comes running up to bite them, and they're like, this seems unusual. And then they start realizing realizing that there's zombies out there. So they go to the bowling alley where they both work. And then they are there with a couple other people and they're zombies, but they kill all the zombies and now they're just stuck there. And then eventually they decide that they have to get to the school because that's where everybody else is. And then Ben Wiggins shows up and he's Nick and he is the best part of the movie by far. He's an asshole and he is also a soldier at war. So he saves them from some zombies in a very musical fashion. And then they try to cut through I don't know, like a little mall, open store thing, whatever you would call that. And then John, he gets bit, but he saves Anna. But did he really need to do that? Anyway, the movie decided that he did. And then they get to the school, and there is a very weird principal, and that man is just like letting people die and being crazy and being like, I rule the school. I'm evil. And then he has a whole battle with Anna where Anna's singing and fighting her way up to him. And then he dies, and then her dad dies, and then everybody she knows is dead except for this asshole and this lady who has the car. And now what's going to happen? The end.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I was wondering when you were going to get to the whole part about her dad being involved here, but
I mean, he's not. He's at the beginning of the movie, and then you don't see him. He's discussed of like that trying to get back to the dad.
You oh
yeah, I guess it does do interludes back and forth.
He's got a couple of songs. Yeah, he's all over this movie. You are correct.
Yeah, I just focus so much on Anna. Her name's in the title. Who cares about what's going on elsewhere? I cared a lot about
it. We definitely have to address the fact that you think Nick is the best part of this movie.
Easily.
Okay.
I hate him, and I love his musical numbers. That's my type. Now I have a husband who I love very much, but back in the day, I hate him. He must be mine. That was my mindset of like, wow, what a dick. Love the way he swings that weapon, though.
Can't imagine at all why things didn't work out for you with that mindset, Michelle.
Yeah, I wonder. And then suddenly I was like, wow, a nice man who respects me. What?
So
yeah, Ben Wiggins, aka Nick, best part of the movie.
Yeah, so we'll do some breakdown of the music here in just a little while and those sorts of things. One thing that I want to talk about, and I want to talk about it a little bit, and I want to be clear that I don't mean this as any kind of knock on the film or any criticism. I actually really love this part of it. This movie is a British film, obviously, and, well, maybe not obviously. I don't know.
It takes place in Scotland.
Is it in Scotland? It's UK. So, this movie, the people who made this movie fucking love them some Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and not just like in sort of like plot, like there are visual references in this movie all over the goddamn place. There's general plot elements, there's specific plot elements, you know, people's best friends getting zombified, people's parents getting zombified, people having to kill their parents after they've been zombified, all this, but also, as you mentioned, the whole sequence when she's singing Brand New Day and dancing around, and they just are completely oblivious to the zombie chaos. But even little things. Very first one that comes to mind is Anna's school uniform. White shirt, necktie, black
got
pants.
Red on you. Yep.
Specific. Yeah. Also, there's a sequence in the bowling alley where Anna and John are, I think it's Anna and John, are beating on some zombies with some mops and broom handles in a sequence that mirrors perfectly the sequence from Shaun of the Dead where they're beating on the zombie with the pool cues. Those are just a couple of things that pop to mind. The lady, like even like the bowling alley is basically the Winchester, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people, the lady who got the cleaning lady is still there the next day, but she's a zombie now, which is a thing I want to talk about here once I'm done with this whole point. But like I was just I thought for sure it was just like initially I was worried because I was like, oh, so they're just gonna kind of ape this plot a little bit and turn it into a musical, but it's so much deeper than that. So many little things along the way. Even when the car comes screaming in at the end is sort of a visual reference. And what I like about it is they're visual references, but they're not exact parallels, right? They're not exact duplicates. And I just sat there and was just like, man, these people love Shaun of the Dead as much as I love Shaun of the Dead. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but I've probably seen that movie 50 times. When I first saw it, when it dropped on DVD back in, I think it was 03 or 04, I probably watched it 10 times the first week I had it on DVD. It's one of, in my opinion, the greatest films ever made. I love it so much, and I really just loved how so much of this movie is an homage to that without being a blatant replication. I really loved that.
I think this movie, most people who watch this will have seen Shaun of the Dead, because horror comedy is a very specific thing. And then the stepping stone to horror comedy musical about zombies would be zombie horror comedy without musical. So I think it's a fair progression where they're like, oh, you like that? Come a little further. And so, like you said, it's good little nods where those of us who are familiar, which will be pretty much everybody,
it's just like, oh yeah, that's a cool
acknowledge
little...
it and see it as like a honoring as opposed to just trying to steal what they
did. And like I said, they're visual references without being complete duplications, and I really appreciated that. I thought they clearly said to themselves, we really want to honor this other film, but we also want to honor it in such a way that we're still very much our own thing, and that was just fabulously done. Certainly not the greatest thing the movie should be praised for, just something that really stood out to me as being a fan of those films. What are some of your favorite things about this movie story-wise, Michelle? Because I know you're a big fan of how bleak it gets. Tell us all about that.
That is what I was about to bring up, because I definitely want to hear your opinion on it after I give mine. But I love how bleak this is because it is a Christmas film. I mean, at its heart, that's the big thing. It's a Christmas and it's a musical. Two things that generally do wind up being very uplifting feelings. And we have a lot of positive, happy songs in the first half of it. So it really does a good job of, despite this apocalypse happening and feeling the despair that they do, it brings you right back with these pop songs. And then in the second half, all of a sudden, a lot of people die very quickly. When John died, I did not see that coming at all. I could see the best friend dying. I did not see him dying at basically like the halfway point, a little bit past it in the movie.
Oh, that's interesting because I can't remember them specifically right off the top of my head. But there are a couple of moments in the movie. I'd say one of them, frankly, is only about 20 seconds before he dies. Like the instant he says, oh, hey, by the way, I remembered all of Santa's reindeer, I was like, he's about to die before he finishes the list. But there's another thing, and again, I'm sorry I don't remember it, but another thing earlier in the film that for some reason just said to me, oh, this is not going to end well for him. And but anyway, yeah, it was... He kicked it. You said something in there about how...
I haven't finished.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead. I'm just stream of consciousnessing.
I know. So I was like, wait, pause. Okay. So John, I could see him dying. I didn't see him dying that quickly, and it was a big blow to me of like, oh man, wow, that's depressing. And then they go to the school, and then the two friends die. The two that are dating, they get bit while trying to get the keys out of the office, and then they're just holding each other, and that's very depressing. And then her dad dies, and that's very depressing. It was so many hard hits after what was, I mean, despite this being an apocalypse movie, was very upbeat and happy and full of pop songs. And now it is a very sad thing where she just lost a lot of people very quickly, and that
she
is
lost
what I
everything.
love. Exactly. but no, she didn't lose everything. She still has Nick, and really, that's all that matters. Now they're in a car.
Her asshole ex-boyfriend that she clearly doesn't want to have anything to do with.
I'm gonna write so much fan fiction about those two.
No,
He's a soldier at war. He'll keep her safe.
and that is actually exactly why this just became too much for me. Like what you were talking about there, the way this like as soon as John died, I thought, okay, there's no way they're gonna kill her dad too. There's no fucking way, right? There's no, and they did. To me, the experience I was having with this movie, what I was taking from it, what I was enjoying about it. Don't get me wrong, I have seen some movies that end incredibly bleakly and have really appreciated and loved those movies. I needed some kind of, I needed some sort of resolution is not the word, but I needed something. And like literally everything goes wrong. This girl has lost everything. She lost her mom's already out of the picture for a while. She lost her dad. She lost her best friend, her 3 best friends for that matter, and the only people who survive to help her get along are her shitty asshole ex-boyfriend who she doesn't want to have anything to do with, and the girl who's all weird and standoffish and she doesn't get along with her. It's so down. Her best friend dies. She has to watch him die. She has to watch him, like, you mentioned, this is what I was going to talk about earlier. You talked about in your summary about how, like, and then he, like, sacrifices himself for her for some reason. What do you mean for some reason? Because he played human shield to keep the zombies away from her so she could get through the crowd. Yes.
Do you want me to respond? Yeah. I did want to talk about that because I understand the whole wanting to be a human shield thing, and that's like a big heroic thing. But then he just like stops and stands there and lets the zombies. It feels like he gave up so quickly instead of like taking her. Like the way that it plays out, it's actually very similar to the couple that dies and then the dad who died. The way that these people who mean a lot to us as the viewer die is that they just accept it and they don't even try to avoid the pain of being eaten before getting turned, because it's not like they're saying kill me so I don't get turned. They're just like, well, I guess I'll stay here then, and just like the couple, why wouldn't you at least like leave the room instead of these zombies potentially like turning on you again? The dad just like hangs out. He's like, okay, bye, and he has no idea how long it takes for them to turn, and he just like sits there, and it felt like so it was 3 moments, which is too many for me in a movie like this, of them just being like, well, I guess that's the way it is, and just staying wherever they got bit and not even trying to like go anyplace else. They just automatically accept, and they're like, whatever, us as characters making any choices doesn't matter. And I hate that.
I think the idea, at least the way I take it, is it's the immediate understanding that the inevitable is going to happen, and so why avoid it? First of all, the reason John just stands there and lets the zombies rip him apart is so that the zombies are all occupied so that Anna can get away. Like that's the like that he's literally giving himself to be eaten and destroyed so that she has time to get away from this herd of zombies.
But then
Her
she
dad
stands there anyway, and that's it. It's the little things of like, this whole thing felt clunky to me. I can understand like on paper this is how it plays out and it makes sense. But watching it is like you're just hanging out, and he just made this big sacrifice that I didn't really think was necessary, but like fucking run. Like you're just letting it go to waste. And I understand she's obviously sad and grief stricken and in shock, but like none of these people seem like they want to live very well, or like they've even seen a movie like Shaun of the Dead. Like, have they seen a zombie movie? Try to survive.
We've had this similar discussion before. The biggest thing I would say to you, Michelle, is survive a zombie apocalypse and then tell me how clearly you thought your way through it.
I've survived 3 so far. Thank you very much. The 4th one is scheduled on Saturday. So like stay in your
I
house or
just
whatever.
and that's a very common thing that people talk about. It's the why are you running upstairs instead of out the front door
Yeah.
argument from
It just
slasher
drives me
films.
crazy.
Uh,
People making
but
bad decisions.
like the thing about this all to me, like that argument to me always is just like, when have you ever been known to make rational, smart, clear decisions when you're being actively tried to be murdered? You know,
All the time. I'm
it's
constantly
just.
trying to not get murdered. And I'm
But
smart.
I guess my point is that's why those sorts of things just never bother me about movies like this. It has to be further than just somebody made a bad decision. I make bad decision in stressful times all the time. But also again, they don't know how long they have after they've been bitten. They're just like, I don't want to be any more kind of a burden. Just leave me here to die. It didn't bother me nearly as much.
That couple that just gives up and hugs each other, if I was in that situation, not knowing how long I have, I would at least go to the office with my loved one so that we can avoid getting any more bites and we can spend whatever time we have together in there alone away from the zombies. So that's why it's crazy to me that they're like, I guess we stay in the living room now. They just stand there and hug. And there's so many of those where I'm like, at least do something.
I once again come to the point of watch all of your loved ones die in the middle of a zombie apocalypse and then get bitten while you're also trying to survive, and tell me that you don't just give up.
But those people didn't lose all their loved ones. They literally have each other. Go spend the time together that you have. What if it's a day from now before you turn? And now you're just hanging out in an office when you could have had some moments together?
We very clearly know for sure it's not a day because we've seen people turn in less than 24 hours in this movie.
That does not guarantee it always happens that way. What if one of them's immune?
I find it hilarious that the person who loves this movie for how bleak it is mad about why it's or how it became that bleak. That's
I'm okay with all of them dying. It is specifically that we know that they're going to die and that they just stand in place. It's a little nitpick thing that just drives me crazy because it happens 3 times. If it happened once where I'd be like, okay, this is a little clunky with the John scene, but then the fact that it happens with the couple and they just hug in that room drives me nuts. And then the dad just being like, farewell, daughter. And then she just leave. It drives me nuts. I love this movie. It is a 5-skull movie, but God, it drives me nuts.
Anyway, once again,
talk about the bleak ending.
Once again, JD sucks at maintaining his battery life and his internet. Man, we are just loaded with technical difficulties. There was another time skip moment for those of you listening. We thankfully we've been through this before and we just keep recording. I don't know how long it was this time. Too long.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I believe where we left off was I was talking about how hilarious it was that the person who loves how bleak this movie is upset about how it became that bleak.
Absolutely.
And I get it.
I think what really solidified my love of this movie, though, is how bleak it is, despite the fact that they just gave up. And you idiots, at least go hang out in a closet together for a little bit. You don't know how long you have. But it's so bleak.
As long as we're here, rule of 3 for comedy, one more time. You get tangled up in a zombie apocalypse and tell me how much you struggle to survive after being bitten and knowing for sure you're going to die and turn into a zombie.
I killed a zombie right before we started recording, and I didn't panic even a little bit. He came in here like, rah! And I'm gonna have to clean a lot after this. There's eyeballs everywhere. But I love how bleak this is, and what solidified it as being I can't say one of my favorite zombie movies because that list is very long. It's on there, but the fact that at the beginning, song number 3 on the soundtrack is Hollywood Ending, and she tells you there's no such thing as a Hollywood ending, and she does not give that to you. She gives you a very bleak depressing ending that you would not expect from a movie where two of the parts are musical and Christmas.
Oh no, I
She
get
tells
it.
you you're not getting it, and
No,
I love it.
I get it.
I know
just
you get it,
it's
but I love that.
by the end of it, it was too oppressive. It was too much for me. I needed it to. I needed there to be at least a modicum of respite, a respite, or I don't know how you pronounce the fucking word, but
you needed a smile instead of all the tears.
Right, like even Shaun of the Dead, like spoilers for that movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, skip ahead the next 30 seconds or so. But it's just like at the end of that where, Ed got bit and he died. He became a zombie, but now he's still back at John's place and they're hanging out and they're friends again, right? Like there's if her dad had come back into her life at the end of this movie somehow, even as a zombie, I would have been like, all right, I could deal with this. But it got to a point where I was just like, his shit just kept getting bleaker and bleaker and bleaker, and just because of what I was looking for, I was expecting a turn and I never got it. And it's just like, oh wow, that was like I feel like her best friend's all dying, but her dad surviving is still far enough away from a Hollywood ending that it would be fine. But that's just me.
So two things since we did get back on the discussion of Shaun of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
One, actually, I just realized that I might have made this movie fact up, or else it's about a different movie. So we're just gonna say it and put it out.
Throw it out there. If it's about Shaun of the Dead and it's true, I will know.
Cate Blanchett is the person wearing the full body.
That's in Hot Fuzz, actually.
That's Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, wait a minute. I think I've messed up my movies.
Yeah, at the very beginning, the lady in the
usually I would fact check
in the full body suit that speaks just is Sean's. Well, not Sean. He's not Sean in that movie. Officer Angel.
He's Mr. Fuzz.
Is Officer Angel's ex-girlfriend, who's like the forensic investigator, and they actually
and I just remembered his ex-girlfriend, and I thought
they brought Cate Blanchett to the set and put her in that costume. Yep. They didn't just have somebody stand there. You can't even see her mouth. She's wearing a mask. They brought her all the way there and put her like that. And oh God, that's fantastic. Cate Blanchett also recently was seen on some program talking shit about heavy metal music, though. She was on that one British talk show with the orange background and the funny guy, and then like there's people on a couch. And it was Margot Robbie. Graham Norton, that's the one. Yeah. And it was Margot Robbie and Cate Blanchett. And Margot Robbie was talking about how she kind of likes like heavy metal music and Slipknot and stuff.
Oh, God damn.
And Cate Blanchett was a real bitch about it. Like she was real like real stereotyping, just like, oh, isn't that like caveman meathead music? I don't. That's not exactly what she said, but it was just.
I hope she said it exactly like that.
It was very disappointing because I thought Cate Blanchett was cool, but then she also made that Tar movie, and we don't want to talk about that anyway.
Yeah. My other thing about Shaun of the Dead is that you brought up Ed, aka Nick Frost, who might be better than Simon Pegg. If you were going to put those two on a teeter-totter, and
Ed's definitely going to win if you put him on a teeter-totter.
But I think winning would be
that's a pretty shitty. Yeah, it's a pretty shitty metaphor for a fat guy, Michelle.
But I was gonna say the winner is the one who gets lifted. So I was thinking he would be the one going up.
Oh, so you
I
just don't know shit about
teeter-tottering. I don't know shit about teeter-totters. I did just read an awful book called Playground, and I don't want to talk about it. I was so fucking
Here's
mad.
What I know about here's what I know about teeter-totters. I don't give a fuck how hard you slam one. You are not going to completely decapitate a person.
I got fucked up on a teeter-totter when I was little because I was all the way at the top, and then the other girl just got off.
Oh, God.
And I never went on one again. My mouth was so bloody. So teeter-totters, fuck them. I don't need to know how they work. But anyway, those teeter-totters got removed the next year, and for good reason. But getting back to it, Nick Frost, his character Ed, Shaun of the Dead, he becomes the Ed part of Shaun of the Dead, and he winds up undead. And now he's just playing video games in his shed. Ed in the Shed seeing the undead playing video games instead of dying. Is that not what heaven is?
Yeah.
I prefer that over an afterlife. You mean I get to stay here, but now I don't have to go to work and I can finally get through all the I bought Miles Morales 2 years ago. I have still not even seen the start menu on that game. I'm really mad about it.
I bought it too. Jesus. What?
Oh, I have a list of games. My computer ran out of space because I kept downloading game. I would buy the game, I would download the game so that next time I went to play it, it would be there for me. And, for a while, this was a great system, except then I discovered that Steam has a wish list that you can just add all the things you want to it. And that's great because before I was using a spreadsheet and now I could just use it within the system of the place I was going to buy them. What I did not know is that I would get an email every time a game went on sale. And sometimes there are pretty significant sales where now it's 90% off. So I'm like, I'm going to spend $20 and get 5 little indie games that I've wanted to play. And this week I finally hit the point where my computer was like, you're out of space and you can't install this. And I went, I have too many fucking games that I have not played. Anyway, I'm feeling very mad about my New Year's resolution is to play video games for at least 1 hour a week and have fun doing it. I have a very hard time. I like to take video games and make them not fun because I get to a point where I'm like, I have to do all the things. I have to do it. Here's my spreadsheet. Here's all the stuff I have to accomplish. And I make it not fun. So it is specifically 1 hour of video games for fun where I am enjoying myself. And so far we're 5 days into the year and I haven't done it, but I have played a lot of video games and none of them have been fun. Anyway, Ed seems like the perfect afterlife.
Jesus, that was you had a lot to get off your chest there, Michelle.
Yeah, I have feelings. I didn't even realize I had feelings, but I'm just very mad about the state of my video game list.
That's fair. That's fair. We would be remiss, Michelle, if we didn't spend some time on this episode about a zombie Christmas musical, talking about the music.
Well, of course.
And obviously, I mentioned earlier that my favorite song. I guess not technically the first song, because you have that song over the credits or whatever. But my favorite song in this entire show is that first one in the school, "Breakaway," and I also really enjoyed "Brand New Day." Is that the name of the song? I don't know, but
it is "Turning My Life Around."
Turning My Life Around. Okay, though those two. Were my big favorites. What did you? Was Soldier at War? Is that your favorite one?
Well, the fish rap is very good. Where they are penguins rapping,
mm-hmm.
That is a very good song, but it's only 40 seconds. Soldier at War is my favorite one to just listen to on repeat. I don't know why, but it hits that right note for me. Outside of that one, I love "It's That Time of Year," which is the double entendre Santa
right
song.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Eartha Kitt's Santa Baby is one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time, and this feels like a sluttier version of that.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Beautiful. So that and Hollywood Ending would be my other two. I do like Human Voice though. It makes me feel feels.
Human Voice
or
Human Voice it does this thing that a lot of it's that there's something about the giant chorus sing-along moments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate them out and out. I think when they're done well, they're really great. In fact, Hollywood Ending has a couple of big full cast moments. But I don't know. There's something in that song. I can't even put my finger on it, but it just something about the big, huge choruses and the way all these voices sound together. I don't know. That one just didn't work for me much at all. And I definitely think
I can see it at times, not this one for me, but sometimes it gets very high school choir-y.
Yes.
Where
that
is a
just
perfect everybody
description.
Yes.
Yes.
I was in the high school choir.
So
I know what we sound like. We sound just boring.
Yeah.
And I can definitely understand some group numbers do become that. where it's just everybody has to harmonize perfectly and you are no longer a character. You are just part of this group making a nice sound. Human voice for me didn't do that, but I mean, that's like a cilantro thing. Like cilantro doesn't taste like soap to me, but it might taste like soap to you. Human voice might be annoying to you, but it's not to me.
Sure. I did really like the closing number. I will believe. I thought that was a real, so at least so far as like a big emotional kind of showstopper. I thought that was really solid. I gotta be honest with you. Once her dad died, I was really worried when they hit this "I Will Believe" song that it's like, oh shit, they're gonna kill them all. And so I guess there was that little respite at the end with the car showing up and driving away. But yeah, overall the first time I watched it, I just sat there mesmerized by the quality of it as a musical production, because like, I'm not saying other movies are easy, but there are so many things. The amount of planning that, because you have to choreograph the whole thing as if it was a stage show, but then you also have to choreograph the cameras and plan all of that stuff along. There's something about a filmed musical that's just so goddamn impressive to me, and this was really, really well done.
I have one final comment, and
Please
it has
do.
nothing to do with the quality of the film, but it is a funny thing, and sounds like you are going to watch this again at some point,
Oh, sure.
and I need you to know this so that next time you will see this and think of this thing I'm about to say. We have a mutual friend whose name will remain anonymous because he told me this is a thing that happened to him while he was doing some drugs. He was watching this movie and he was like, "You have to see this. It is a zombie musical and it also takes place during Christmas. This is exactly your shit." And I was like, "Okay, great." And I started watching and his brother was in the room with us and he's like, "Oh my God, nameless friend, had an idea about something in this movie." And the guy, our friend, was like, "No, don't tell her. Don't tell her. I'm never going to live it down." And he was like, while watching this movie, he was absolutely convinced that the principal of this movie was David Tennant. And was convinced. And now every time I see this movie, I just think of that. And sometimes I text him. I'm like, "I'm watching that Christmas zombie musical with David Tennant." And he doesn't like that. I will tell you the name afterwards, but you probably guessed. But yeah, he was doing some drugs and was convinced this was David Tennant. And it's just very funny. And now next time you watch this, think of him as the
That's
doctor.
awesome. I also
exactly.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there are actually two other things that I would like to add to our conversation here. First of all, so I initially had the impression, and I would talk to you about this in a text chain or whatever, a chat. I initially thought that Anna's dad was like a gym teacher. I didn't realize he was a janitor. And I thought the guy who is going to be the headmaster once the original headmaster retires in January, like, I thought for sure he was like a theater, like the drama teacher or whatever, like some uppity. And I don't know if he was just the vice principal or what, but I really liked that dynamic. I loved this idea, at least, that a musical theater production would cast the head of the theater department at a school as the ultimate bad guy amongst the people. I thought that was rather humorous, and so I'm running with that, is that he is going to be promoted to headmaster, but he was the drama coach. That's where I'm going in my head.
He is both of those.
Here's the other thing I wanted.
For sure.
Oh, he is the drama coach? Okay, perfect. I was right.
Well, no, I'm saying I don't know for sure, but I do think that's the case. And if it's not, I do prefer that being the case.
Yeah.
Where he fucking hates kids.
Oh,
but
yeah.
now he's going to be the headmaster of a school and responsible for the musical.
This is a dude who definitely wanted to be a big-time theater actor, wanted to be a star, just was clearly not good at anything and got relegated to being a drama teacher at some high school somewhere. I say relegated.
So
Look, high school drama teachers are fantastic people. I don't want in his mind.
You can be relegated to anything if it's something you hate.
Right, that's what I'm saying. In his mind, he's been relegated to being this nothing high school drama teacher, and he just fucking hates these children. Just seething hatred for all of them, and I liked that. I thought that element was pretty great. Whether it's true or not, it's true in my head. That's my head canon, and now Michelle's as well. It
was mine before, but I
awesome.
Really love it.
So
I agree with you,
Michelle. Would you like to know why I made myself watch this movie a second time before we recorded the podcast? Because there is a very specific reason why I watched it a second time.
Sure.
Okay. After watching it the first time, it didn't even register with me right away, but I was thinking back on it like a day later, and it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute. Are they trying to imply that John accidentally killed that lady and she just turned into a zombie overnight because he fucking hucks that shoe at her, and then they're talking later about how she might have gotten a concussion, and clearly she never left the fucking bowling alley, right? She's just in the bathroom. And I'm like, wait, did they just leave her in the bowling alley to they didn't call a doctor or make sure she was okay? Because, as it turns out, actually, it's not really true, but it's common thought that if you have a concussion, you're not supposed to sleep for a certain amount of time. Yep. You want somebody to be monitoring you if you're sleeping, but it's not. Anyway,
I know all about that.
Right? Yeah. So
I fucked up my head.
Right. And so I was just like, Jesus, did they? They were like, she might be concussed, and then maybe she just sat down and fell asleep. But then I watched it back again, and as it turns out, first of all, what I didn't catch on is the people that the zombies that attack them in the bowling alley are the same dudes that they're ushering out of the bowling alley the night before when they're talking about the reindeer. Same dudes. Yep. And they also get very explicit at the end of the movie, and I didn't catch this the first time around somehow, that if you just die, you don't come back. You have to be bitten to become one of them. And so I was like, oh, okay. So they definitely, those dudes that they ushered out somehow became zombies and came back in and killed this lady or something. But I was like, God damn it! I was so convinced that I was like, wait a minute, did they murder that cleaning lady and they were just not gonna talk about it?
You know what? As far as I'm concerned, no. Anna and her group of misfit friends, based on their observation, and I guess everybody in this movie's observation, if you just die, you don't come back if you haven't been bitten. But that is a very small sample size. We are not convinced that's how it always works. It's like that Shudder movie we watched, 32 seconds or whatever, where I went, that is not enough scientific evidence to say that that is a fact. And I find it strange that the entire bowling team left without any of them having been, bitten by a human recently and not having said that to somebody. And then they came back into the bowling alley, bit that lady just enough for her to go lock herself in the bathroom, and then they left the bowling alley again.
No, they didn't.
As far as
they
I'm
didn't
concerned,
leave again, though. They were in the bowling alley when, they attacked.
But I mean, they
inside
were
the bowling
away
alley.
from her. Yeah, but I still find it their gathering was on the other side to the point where people didn't know that they were there at first. But they wandered in, they got in there somehow.
You might be
no,
screw
it. As far as I'm concerned, that lady died and came back, and she died because of John.
In our headcanon, because they even talk about when they're walking away, they specifically say she might have been concussed. And then she's in the bathroom when she's in that toilet stall, right? Did she go to sit as she was all concussed and she went to sit down to pee and then just fell asleep on the toilet and turned into a zombie?
This is already a bleak movie, so fuck it. John is also a murderer.
That's headcanon.
And I
now.
don't feel as
That's
bad.
Anna and the Apocalypse headcanon
because her head was the cannon.
Well, because to be fair, the one who did say something about how if you die without getting bitten, you don't become one of them was the fucking drama teacher. So maybe he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I mean,
he doesn't seem like he does.
Right, because I mean, grandmama, the one dude's grandmama, she died of a heart thing, and she didn't come back as a zombie, or at least that we know of.
Yeah, maybe it takes longer.
Maybe it does. Maybe it does.
Well, I got nothing else to say. I like this. I like the fan theories that we have created using just this episode.
I do.
And I'm going to make a sequel. Anna comes back and even more people die. But when they die, they come back no matter what. I find it unbelievable that John gets eaten to the extent that he does in that big mob that he's saving Anna from and still manages to have enough intact to come back as a mostly solid human zombie. He should have been missing a lot more skin.
I think you're absolutely right.
And how dare they?
So here we are, guys. That's
well, there we are.
That's Anna and the this is the way my brain works. Random thoughts. I'm just scrolling through the cast list on IMDb, and I see a picture of Ben Wiggins, and I'm just like, oh yeah. I do really love that in the song that is like the real tough guy badass song in this movie.
Soldier at War.
He also he also has just those absurd falsetto lines throughout that, just like
that's why I like it so much.
It is a really nice touch. It's
truly the falsetto in that song is what gets me, because for the same reason that it is so macho, and he even poses at the end and nobody reacts. I love exactly that actually happened. Yeah. It's so good. I love it.
So guys, check out if you didn't go watch it before we tore it apart, you should probably go do that now. It's really good. Just be aware that it's gonna be pretty bleak at the end, and maybe that'll work for you. Maybe it won't be quite as satisfying for you. But if you like zombies, you like comedy, you like musicals, you like Christmas, this is so here's the thing I just saw. This person calls it Shaun of the Dead meets La La Land. I prefer Shaun of the Dead meets High School Musical. That's my whole jam.
La La Land, I think, would be perceived in a higher regard.
Well, probably, but La La Land can fuck
I
off.
love High School Musical, so I'm not judging. But I am saying that if they're using that in a promotional trailer, which they were, they probably don't want to associate with High School Musical, because people are going to be like, ugh.
Do you
remember? Oh, I forgot their names, but yeah, I was gonna say like Zac Efron's character, and oh my god, I can't believe that they did in real life. And
I've never seen a High School Musical film.
Well, don't worry, I have all 3 coming to me in the mail soon because
you're definitely not going to make me watch them.
No, it's okay. I can help you. I can definitely let you watch them. It's okay. Yes, you can borrow them. I did get them on Blu-ray. It's great.
It's not a thing that's going to happen.
We'll watch all the bonus
Michelle.
features.
No.
Ooh, the commentary. You want to watch the commentary track with them? Perfect.
I really don't.
We'll learn all about how they felt.
I really do not want to watch the commentary track of High School. I don't want to watch the regular track. I don't want to watch the commentary. I don't want to see frame 1 of a High School Musical, Michelle.
I'm just going to start sending you 5-second clips of High School Musical, so you're not expecting it by the time you hit play.
I will block you.
Just over the course of the next 10 years, you will see
Michelle,
it sequentially.
Don't push me, Michelle. I just found out today that possibly the greatest television show of all time, Northern Exposure, that has been in limbo for literally years, has never been available on streaming ever anywhere, was only released on DVD once and is long out of print because it's been mired in legal complications and rights issues, was quietly released on Amazon Prime just a couple of days ago, and I am obsessed with that fucking show, and I haven't seen a single episode of it in 20 years. I will shut this goddamn podcast down and make this a Northern Exposure podcast. I don't even know what
I got so tired just from you telling me about it.
And by the time I was done, I completely forgot what I was upset about, so it's not even a thing.
Yeah, so did I. I was yawning. Oh,
Michelle, before
we now, it's time to go to bed.
Before we wrap this up, do we want to let our friends in on the very first comment I sent to you about this movie?
You will have to say it because I don't remember what the first one was.
Oh.
I was trying not to respond to any of them.
Oh, so the very first text message. Well, I told her I was sitting down to watch Anna and the Apocalypse, and the very first message I sent her comes. I sent it during the that opening song "Breakaway."
Oh, yep.
And
Yep.
I sent Michelle a photo that I found quickly on Google of Sarah Swire as Steph. And I sent that picture to Michelle, and I just said, "This is really not gonna end well for me, is it?" And she said, "No, it's not." When she smashed that old granny's, look, guys, what I'm saying is, I got a thing
You have
for
a type.
I have a type.
You have a type.
I have look, here's, and I've spent a lot of time in my life analyzing it, and it boils down to two things, right? Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music and Rainbow Bright are the things that basically molded my type. But man, like, I was already like, oh, that's like her. She got that, like, I like short haircuts. It's a whole thing. Anyway, she smashed that old lady's head with a toilet seat, just freaked the fuck out. And I have rarely been so attracted to another human being ever in my life. Oh my God, I was so worried she was going to die, and then she didn't die, and that made me very happy.
My type, since we're on the subject, is
Nick?
Every character from the animated movie Hercules. All of them. Megara, obviously. Hercules, obviously. Little Danny DeVito goat, definitely. The three witches who share an eyeball, James Wood says Hades. I mean, he's kind of a dick. We've talked about that's kind of my type. Absolutely. All the dude with the little flying shoes. Oh yeah, he can take me on a date.
Michelle,
yeah, everybody from the movie Hercules.
Michelle, she shoved a fucking spatula handle through a zombie's upper jaw into its brain. Do you have any idea how hot that is?
Well, Hercules has a flying horse, and he and my girl Megara are drawn in like a really nice way. They're very like curly cute. It's nice. I also have a type. It's everybody from the animated movie.
Well, we better get out of here
Anyway.
before we tell people too much about our
I might
types.
go watch Hercules. I just bought it. I am absolutely gonna go watch Hercules.
That sounds like a good plan. Say goodnight,
He
Michelle.
can go the distance. Good night, Michelle.
For more horror content, visit WeWatchShutter.com, where you'll find our world-famous, patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at WeWatchShutter on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@WeWatchShutter.com is the address. mail@WeWatchShutter.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shutter is a production of Rat Factory Media. Oh no. Oh no. Please, Michelle, are you still there? Oh.
I am still here. Do you hear me? Okay.
God damn it. Michelle.
You need better
God.
internet.
Oh my God. I did it again.
Wait,
Do
you hear me?
Oh my God. Give me just a minute.
Okay.
My phone died. I gotta plug my headphones in.
Wow.
Give me just a minute.
Okay. Well, JD is gone.
Let's see
how
here.
do you not charge your phone when you know you're gonna have to call me
how
because
does
your
this keep
internet
happening
is
to me?
so
Let's do this
bad? Yeah, how
part.
does
Let's
it keep
turn
happening
this
to you?
on.
I can hear you. You can't
Let's
hear
see
me.
here.
And I am
Can
going to
you
keep
connect,
talking some
please?
shit because what?
Connect.
Are you
Oh
kidding
my
me?
God.
Two people just hang out in a room and give up on themselves and die in a living room, surrounded by
Michelle,
zombies
are
when
you
they could be spending some time,
there?
I don't know, making out in the office. But instead,
Oh my God.
and then
what's
we've got
going
this guy over
on?
here just
Why are
not
you
charging
not
his phone, just
connecting?
different forms of apocalypses.
Connect.
I can hear him. I don't think he knows that I can hear him, but I can. And
Oh my
I'm just
God.
We're going to make a horror movie about our recording experiences in the last month. You guys don't know. JD, he's having some internet gnome issues. He did move into a retirement home, not because he needs it, but because his mom does. And now that he's there, I did tell him that I think it's haunted. There are ghosts in the computer, kind of like Ghosts in the Shell, but a little bit different. And ghosts are definitely opposed to our horror podcast, and it would make sense because it is a retirement home. And they're like, whoa, PG-13, that's way too aggressive for us.
Hey, I can hear you again.
In a time of prohibition.
I can hear you again.
I could hear you the whole time.
Oh, could you? That's weird because my phone died.
I still see you talking on our call.
That's weird. I don't know how that would have happened.
I'm telling you, ghosts.
My phone went completely... Like, my camera isn't even on right now. How are you seeing me?
Oh, well, I see your profile picture, and then it's doing the thing where it goes like blub, blub, blub every time you talk.
Okay, well, that's fine. So you're not actually seeing me.
No, I see a dog wearing a hat.
That's weird. I don't know why it... well, anyway, it doesn't matter. So...
Anyway.